Gentlemen, on behalf of the Interfaith Family Board, Interfaith Family Philadelphia Leadership Council, the Event Host Committee, and the IFF staff, we welcome you to the 2016 Choose Love celebration. We are thrilled to pay tribute to the foresight of the founders of Interfaith Ways in Philadelphia, Rabbi Meir Seligman, Bill Schwartz, and the late Leonard Wasserman. We've had a wonderful day of learning and conversation. The very fact that over 300 people would come for that conversation and that you are here this evening is a testament to our honorees, our community members, and our institutional partners who've had the vision to see intermarriage not as a threat to Jewish continuity, but as an opportunity for understanding and inclusion. When my husband Thad and I got married 30 years ago, we were very much alone. Rabbi Seligman was booked that night, and we were turned away by many others. So we ended up with Justice of the Peace, a 5-minute ceremony, and very little sense of how we would create a home and raise a family within two faith traditions. But my story has a happy ending, because I eventually found a rabbi, and that was Rabbi David Glansberg-Cranen, who did not write me off because I was an intermarried Jew. I was welcomed into a small but vibrant community in Chester County where my children felt safe, where my husband's sacrifice was recognized, and where I was not merely tolerated, but given a leadership role within the congregation. Today, IFF is helping couples not to feel so abandoned when they make the choice to intermarry, to recognize that this is not an either-or proposition, but an and, that you can love the person that you love, and you can love your Judaism as well. As co-chairs of this evening's event, Lori and I are so proud of the work that is being done in Philadelphia and across the country. IFF is blessed with an amazing professional staff and a host of dedicated volunteers and funders. And now we have all of you. So once again, a welcome and thank you very much for being here tonight.
Almost 10 years ago, I was very hesitant to become involved in Jewish life. I was afraid of how my husband and I, now in a marriage for almost 24 years, would be treated by the community. I met a rabbi, Rabbi Shira Stutman, who welcomed my husband, children, and I with open arms. We joined her little chevra and really enjoyed Jewish teaching, holidays, and life cycle events. Rabbi Shira's kindness and openness to all types of Judaism showed me how important Jewish community could be in our lives, and I'm grateful to be part of something so meaningful. Now, as a board member of Interfaith Family, I'd like to thank all of our sponsors tonight for their generous support of today's summit and tonight's celebration. A special thanks to the Marcus Foundation, Mindy and Thaddeus Fortin, the Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia, Dorothy Wasserman and family, the Jacobson Family Foundation, and Goldstein's, Rosenberg's, Raphael Sachs Funeral Home. A full list of sponsors is included in our program book and on the screens. Without all of you, this day would not have been possible. We're also here this evening to express our sincere gratitude to the Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia, which facilitated our merger with Interfaith Ways and has been a partner ever since. On behalf of Interfaith Family, I offered my heartfelt appreciation to Bud Newman, President of the Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia, and CEO Naomi Adler, along with the entire Federation Board of Directors and the members of its staff with whom we are all privileged to work. Now, I invite Bud to come up and offer a few words of welcome on behalf of the Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia. Thank you.
The print that I have on what I have to say is probably that thick, but somehow or other I need my glasses also. So forgive me. Thank you, Laurie. On behalf of our Jewish Federation, I want to thank all of today's summit participants for visiting our city. we join with everyone in honoring the memory and legacy of Leonard Wasserman. It's also a pleasure to recognize my friend Bill Schwartz and Rabbi Meir Seligman for their groundbreaking work on behalf of interfaith families in the Philadelphia area and beyond. We're honored Interfaith Family chose to host this year's Opportunity Summit in Philadelphia, and especially here in this museum. Our Jewish Federation partners very closely with Interfaith Family Philadelphia. We've benefited immensely from the expertise of Rabbi Frisch and her outstanding team. Rabbi Frisch has spoken on many occasions to our staff and volunteers about building more inclusive Jewish communities here in the greater Philadelphia area. Interfaith Family Philadelphia has opened our eyes to the new Jewish reality and how we can best ensure everyone feels welcome. In addition to the guidance Interfaith Family Philadelphia has given us, the support it has provided to so many couples and families in our area has been exceptional. In the not-too-distant past, resources like Interfaith Family simply did not exist. People who were embarking on relationships had nowhere to turn for help in navigating potentially challenging times. Thankfully, Interfaith Family is here for them, providing workshops, books, social events, and especially people to talk to, so they can determine on their own how to make multiple faiths enhance and not detract from their family life. We're pleased today to support today's important event and Interfaith Family Philadelphia. We're committed to continually increasing our efforts to engage more interfaith families in Jewish life. When our CEO, Naomi Adler, and I began working together, we knew Jewish Federation had much more to do to ensure every community member was welcomed by us. This included not just interfaith families, but also our LGBT community. Naomi and I, along with our staff and volunteers, have worked hard to break down barriers to anyone who wants to engage with us. Not only have we eliminated most of the barriers, we are coordinating opportunities for every person, no matter their interests, affiliation, or orientation, to get involved in whatever way is most comfortable for them. Just last month, we rolled out an entirely new brand for our Jewish Federation. While visually it is very impressive, perhaps even more so is the new messaging included in our communications. Our new promise is to lead and mobilize our Jewish community through giving, inclusion, and tradition. Our new vision includes amplifying diverse Jewish voices. We're committed to creating an atmosphere where all community members have a seat at the table. This is the caring thing to do. It is also necessary to do for the current and future vibrancy of our Jewish community. I want to thank all of you again for all you are doing and assure you that our Jewish Federation is going to be there for you and those who follow, because it is the right thing to do.
Thank you, Bud. My name is Jody Bromberg, and I am the CEO of Interfaith Family. And it is really terrific to be up here looking out at everyone. When we began to envision the summit that took place earlier today and tonight's Choose Love celebration, we didn't really know what to expect. And yet we've been blown away. We've been just felt so supported by the interest, not only engaging in a meaningful discussion about this very important topic and work, but also about thinking more broadly about the issues that need to be addressed and the efforts that could be made to have more interfaith families involved in Jewish life. We've come such a long way, such a very long way, through the efforts of people like Leonard Wasserman, like Bill Schwartz, like Rabbi Meir Seligman. And I want to thank a few people who made today and this evening possible. Our co-chairs and board members who you just heard from before, Mindy Fortin and Lori Toll-Franz. They have led the charge along with the host committee. I also want to thank our entire staff from across the country who made tonight a success. And specifically, I want to call out a couple of people: Heather Martin, Liz Pillay-Wettengale, Deb Morandi, Jamie Copperman, and our team here in Philadelphia, Rabbi Robin Frisch, Wendy Arman, and Robin Warsaw. So I am often asked about how I became involved with Interfaith Family. And the story really is about how I became involved with Interfaith Family Philadelphia. So I live up in Boston now, where Interfaith Family's national headquarters are, but I'm a Philadelphian at heart. I lived here for about 20 years before I moved up to Boston 3 years ago. And so the quick answer about how I got involved is that my family is about as interfaith as they come, from my mom, who converted to Judaism before she married my dad, who's Jewish, to my brothers and cousins, all who are married to people of different faiths, to my in-laws who have their own interfaith story. But the real reason that I'm involved with Interfaith Family is that back in the early 2000s, I was trying really hard to find a Jewish spouse. I even joined an online dating site called Yenta.com. A year later, I met my now beloved, who is Catholic, and we started dating. And about a month in, we had a really big fight, and we made up, but in the course of doing so, I said, well, this is fine. We can keep dating, but I want two things. I want a dog, and I want Jewish kids. So 3 years later, I got a dog, and 3 years after that, I gave birth to Jacob and Liam, our Jewish kids. But in between, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make this thing work, right? How to have an interfaith family and a Jewish home, and what it meant to raise Jewish kids. And even though I grew up in a Reform congregation and was bat mitzvahed and confirmed and went to Camp Harlem for 8 years, right, go Harlem. Harlem in the house. It's still daunting to be the Jewish head of household. And then one morning, I was dropping off my kids at the Jewish Federation's Mary Burt Gutman Early Learning Center. Yeah. And I saw a poster for Interfaith Family Philadelphia's Raising a Child with Judaism in Your Interfaith Family class. And I thought, this is for us. Yay. Our kids weren't even a year old at the time. But Tammy Astorino, who was the facilitator, was so warm and engaging, and along with the rest of the Interfaith Family Philadelphia staff, she is the reason that my Catholic spouse and I now say the bedtime Shema with our 5-year-old kids, that they regularly ask if whatever nice thing that they're doing is a mitzvah, and that most Friday nights we do Shabbat, and it might be Chinese food or pizza, but we do it. And I didn't grow up doing any of those things, and my kids only do them because they were suggested to me by Interfaith Family Philadelphia in a way that was encouraging, that was non-judgmental, and that didn't make me feel less than. I believe in the power of Interfaith Family because I'm living it. And while my synagogue and rabbi are terrific, I'm lucky enough to found a synagogue that I felt comfortable in. For me and many others like them, it's not enough. And too many times we still hear stories of interfaith families and couples feeling less than or marginalized when they try and engage in Jewish life. Like the Christian spouse who was at an event with her Jewish husband and her kids that she's raising Jewish, when someone began talking to her about how intermarriage is dumbing down the gene pool. And yet, happily, we are living in a quickly changing world, And this is in large part because we are standing on the shoulders of giants like Leonard and Bill and Mayor and the many pioneers and leaders on this issue when it was even tougher and harder than it is today. Interfaith Family's grown very rapidly over the past couple of years. We're now in 8 cities, one of which, of course, is Philadelphia, and we have got 27 staff members and a budget of about $3 million. But this is a drop in the proverbial bucket. A funder told us recently that we shouldn't be a $3 million organization, that we should be a $10 million organization, and he's right. There is so much on this issue to be done. We need your help. We need your time. We need your energy. We need your resources. And above all, we need your help showing interfaith families that they are welcomed and embraced in Jewish life. So when faced with the option, because you are always, every day faced with the option, please choose love. Embrace those around you. And now I'd like to get started in recognizing some very important people that we are all here to celebrate tonight. And in order to do that, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. He is the Raymond and Ruth Perlman Senior Rabbinic Chair at Beth Shalom Congregation in Elkins Park, and he's been involved in a number of community organizations and activities. He has been a contributor to the Philadelphia Exponent for the monthly commentary on the Torah portion. His book review essays have been included in Shema, a journal of Jewish thought. He is here tonight to present the Leonard Wasserman Award to our dear friend and Interfaith Family Board member, Bill Schwartz. Please join me in welcoming Rabbi David Landsberg-Cranen.
Good evening, everyone. It is a true honor for me to introduce a person that I believe that all of us know and love, and just to talk a little bit about Bill Schwartz. So all of us who know Bill know 3 things about him. Number 1, his family comes first. Number 2, he is a mensch. And number 3, Bill is devoted to the Jewish people and to making a difference in the Jewish community by making sure that our doors stay wide open. If you know Bill, you know that everything starts from his family. Bill will be the first to tell you that Fern is the wind beneath his wings, and I'm quoting him on that. He is so proud of his children, Cynthia and Dennis Tice, Sally Ford, Phil and Susan Schwartz. He is an incredibly devoted grandfather. He has one of his 6 grandchildren here, Benjamin, who lives within walking distance, I learned, of the National Museum of American Jewish History. And he's also the proud grandfather of Matthew, Sarah, Samuel, Julia, and Lila. And Bill is like a grandfather to Susan's kids, Madeline, John, and Miles. We all know that Bill is a mensch. He's just a good guy, and he's one of those people that you just enjoy spending time with. But his commitment and his devotion to the Jewish community started at a very early age. And Bill attributes a great deal of his love for the Jewish community from what he learned from his father, Victor, of blessed memory, a graduate of the University of Pennsylvania, when there were not too many Jews who were being admitted to Penn. His father was a man who became a religious school teacher at Beth Shalom Congregation when it was at Broad and Cortland, but he decided to tutor his son privately for his bar mitzvah, and that had a huge impact and impression on Bill and his life. His devotion to the Jewish community has taken many forms. He credits a mission that he did early on with the Jewish Federation of Greater Philadelphia, which I know that Naomi Adler is a big champion of Federation missions, and that had a profound impact on Bill's life, both in terms of his connection to the state of Israel and to the Jewish people, but also to his desire to work for the Jewish community here in Philadelphia through his work for Federation. He has for decades served as a trustee of Beth Shalom Congregation and has been active on our board for many, many years. And he was deeply involved in the work of what was then the Philadelphia Geriatric Center, what is now the Leonard and Madeline Abramson Center for Jewish Life, where he has served as president. The fact that as a successful entrepreneur, Bill and Fern had the means to give back to the Jewish community, both in terms of their philanthropy, but also in terms of their time. And finally, of course, Bill has done so much work on behalf of inclusion and openness to interfaith families in the Jewish community. Bill, along with Len Wasserman of blessed memory, was one of the founders of Interfaith Ways. And I know that Bill is going to be speaking about Len in just a few moments when he speaks to us. But when he started his work here with Interfaith Ways, Bill was convinced that our Jewish institutions were not doing nearly enough to welcome interfaith families. And in fact, that they were doing a good job at marginalizing interfaith families. And it was Bill's brainchild to create the annual Interfaith Ways Shabbat here in Philadelphia to help put a spotlight on the need of the Jewish community to do outreach to interfaith families. Bill believed, and I believe he still believes very passionately, that we would lose a generation of Jews if we simply turned our backs on interfaith families, and we would be diminished as a community by our lack of foresight. And I think that Bill has proven himself prescient. The work of Interfaith Family here in Philadelphia and across the country is a natural manifestation of Bill's foresight, wisdom, and passion. Bill believes deeply in the mission of Interfaith Family, and he's also right in affirming that there are deep Jewish roots to this endeavor. Abraham and Sarah kept their tent wide open to the strangers in their midst. And we are taught in the Jewish tradition that King David is a descendant of Ruth, a non-Jewish Moabite woman, whose lineage, we are taught, will one day result in the coming of the Messiah. And we know that the daughter of Pharaoh was responsible for raising the greatest Jewish prophet in our history and our people, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, our teacher. We Jews are who we are because we have cared deeply both about being Jewish and about keeping our doors open to the non-Jewish world around us. It is deeply fitting that we honor Bill Schwartz for his many years of devotion to this sacred work. And as his rabbi, it is my honor to introduce him and to present him with an award. Bill, if you would come forward, I have the honor of presenting you with a lithograph. It is entitled Our Lights Shine Brighter Together. It is a Mordechai Rosenstein lithograph, and it was picked out for you by the Wasserman family. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Schwartz.
Thank you, Rabbi, for that lovely and warm introduction. You know, our motto here is choose love, and you certainly did tonight. I'd like to thank the national and local IFF for this special honor. I'm very touched by it. I'd like to thank my wife, Fern, and my children who have long suffered in my speeches without yawning and falling asleep. Congratulations. And lastly, I'd like to recognize an old friend, Bud Newman, who is president of our local federation. Almost 40 years ago, Bud and his wife Judy and Fern and I went to Israel together. And Bud, since you've been back, you've done a wonderful job in this community. And this is your last go-around this year. And we wish you the best of luck, and we'd like to say Yasher Koach to you. I think you've heard before that I've been with Interfaith Ways. This is our original group in Philadelphia since its inception. Leonard Wasserman of blessed memory asked me to join, knowing that I had 2 interfaith marriages in my family. Both Len and his charming wife Dorothy were friends of ours for over 30 years, and the fact that they were so committed to welcome interfaith couples into the Jewish community made it hard for me to say no. Needless to say, I'm very happy that I accepted Len's invitation because it's been such a rewarding journey for me. In my opinion, and I believe my dear friend and co-honoree Rabbi Meir agrees, that the very special tribute tonight belongs to Len Wasserman. Len became the driving force for Philadelphia Interfaith Ways because he saw a great injustice in parts of the Jewish community that had turned their backs on interfaith marriage, some within their own families. He was equally upset by the fact that many synagogues were not welcoming these couples. He believed that the only sin these young people had committed was falling in love with a partner of another faith. What's really amazing is that Leonard had no ulterior motives. None of his and Dorothy's 4 children were intermarried. His was a dream of inclusion, like the rabbi said, and not of exclusion. He believed that it should start with the synagogues. Len put his time and money to work to make this happen right here in Philadelphia. Believe me, it was slow in the beginning. Many disappointments and misunderstandings. I'm sure Len felt like Don Quixote, tilting at windmills, but he never stopped trying, never. We turned the corner finally when we partnered with Reform and Conservative Congregation in the Delaware Valley to create a full Shabbat weekend that welcomed internet families. The special weekend was advertised in the Exponent in the local community papers and in synagogue brochures. 20 synagogues joined us that first year. It was 2008. The very first one to get us underway was my own Beth Sholem, Rabbi Glansberg Cranen, and then President Fred Wilson, a real mensch, led the way, and I will always appreciate their leadership. The weekend grew from year to year in Interfaith Ways, and its mission gained recognition. At the last celebrations, over 70 congregations, from back to 20, joined us promoting the event. Finally, we were no longer the best-kept secret in town. When Len passed away, the torch of Philadelphia Interfaith Ways was passed to Interfaith Family of Boston, IFF, a pioneer in welcoming and helping interfaith families. Ed Case, who was with us here tonight, Interfaith Family CEO at the time, came to Philadelphia and made the shidduch with us. Len would have most certainly been delighted with the alliance. I'm sure many of you here tonight know that in Judaism, there is an ancient legend called Lamed Vav. In Hebrew, Lamed means 30, and Vav is 6. The legend claims that in every generation, there are 36 righteous persons who help guide us. and they guide the world in the right directions. Most versions of Lamed Vav declare that the 36 are unknown to everyone, even themselves. They are modest and do not seek glory or recognition. They use the gifts and talents they possess to lift those around them. They lead, they comfort, and they teach. And they are the very best among us. These attributes, to me, describe the Leonard Wasserman that I knew. I am not here tonight to tell you that Len was a Lamed Vavnik. I'm not qualified to do so. There are many distinguished rabbis in the room, including my cousin Eli Friedman, who wouldn't let me do it. And after all, it's only a legend. Rather, I would like to say that Len had a dream that he called Interfaith Ways, that has become Interfaith Family. We who are involved will continue Len's dream here in Philadelphia as we watch Interfaith Family take hold in 8 other committed American cities, and perhaps eventually, Baruch Hashem, nationwide. I invite all of you here tonight in this magnificent Jewish museum to come join us. We have a local board here in the city under the direction of Rabbi Robin Frisch that does wonderful work. And who knows, there just might be a Vavnik inside of you waiting and wanting to become a leader in this very special cause. Come join us. Thank you and good night.
Congratulations, Bill. It's a well-deserved honor. So as you heard earlier, my name is Laurie Franz, and you just can't get away from me. I just keep getting up here and talking. I now have the enormous privilege of presenting the Leonard Wasserman Award to Rabbi Meir Seligman. Rabbi Seligman is Temple Shalom in Broomall's Rabbi Emeritus, and after serving for 28 years, and in 2017, he will celebrate his 50th anniversary as a rabbi. Rabbi Seligman has been officiating and co-officiating interfaith, interracial, and gay lesbian marriages since the late 60s. He and his family had sometimes received death threats for those actions. He has been an active participant in Interfaith Family Philadelphia and its predecessor, Interfaith Ways, for over 10 years. I am very honored to be able to present this award to Meir. Why? Well, we have a little history. 25 years ago, I fell in love with a great guy. He was kind and fun and thoughtful and smart. We got engaged, and our families couldn't have been happier. Neither of us was particularly engaged in our religions at that time, but we wanted to be respectful to our families and be married in a ceremony with a rabbi and a priest, which was a tall order in 1993. We found a priest in Baltimore who agreed to come to Philadelphia. The rabbi? Well, that was surprisingly more of a challenge. My father had heard about Rabbi Meir Seligman, and we gave him a call. He was kind and funny and instantly likable, and most importantly, he agreed to marry us. So he gave us wise and thoughtful advice on marriage, and he and Father Aiken agreed to incorporate both religions' marriage traditions into our wedding day. And at the end of our ceremony, the two spontaneously hugged each other, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house. I again met Meir many years later as the leader of Interfaith Ways, and Meir was there when I was asked by Ed Case to serve on the Interfaith Family Board of Directors. And coming full circle, Meir was able to attend the bar mitzvah of my youngest son last spring. The impact Meir has had on my life is profound. He and Father Aiken made my husband and me feel somehow legitimate in a religious life if we chose to be. Finding safe spaces was hard. But for me, Meir set the tone for my future. I have been able to share my beautiful life with a wonderful man and our 3 sons, and we are truly blessed. Meir's impact goes beyond the many personal and meaningful interfaith weddings he has performed and the many naming and covenant ceremonies he has performed for children from interfaith homes. His impact is still daily felt in the lives of the many people he has touched. people whom he gave permission as well as encouragement to remain part of the Jewish community and to bring Judaism into their own lives and the lives of their families. Rabbi Seligman, Mayor, thank you for all you have done to build community. You were and are a visionary and a change maker. We are all so fortunate to have had your good counsel for all of these years. I am thrilled to present you with the Leonard Wasserman Award. Mayor, please join me on stage.
It's a privilege for me to be a co-honoree with you, Bill, to have shared history with you, hard work with you, and the joy of what we have been able to accomplish together here in Philadelphia and beyond. I find it also very significant that the honorees are both clergy and laity, and there's an inextricably creative bond between both clergy and laity in our community, and I applaud the synergies that come from that. Leonard and I met through a casual mutual acquaintance. He wasn't so, we didn't like him. Anyhow, we bonded immediately, because the vision that I had in the late 60s of a change in the very nature of our Jewish community and what we needed to do to improve upon that and ensure Jewish tomorrows, which is the way I call Jewish continuity, met immediately with Leonard's. We bonded, we worked hard together. I met a wonderful family of men somewhat my senior, and Len and Richard and others who were here, and J.R. and others who were here but are not here this evening. And together we moved forward, and finally we're able to take the next step when we merged with Interfaith Family Philadelphia. Dottie Wasserman, stand up. Stand up. No, you can't sit down yet. You always said to us that you always were second fiddle to Len. You always said that. But I want you to know something. You were always first viola. Always. I love you. I miss Leonard. And thank you for everything the two of you have done together. I'm a rabbi, so I live by 3 commands. What does God want me to do as best as I can see it? What does the history of my people demand that I do as best as I can see it? And the demand for Jewish continuity, what I refer to as Jewish tomorrows. So what did I learn from Jewish history? I saw the Jewish history was a flow of tomorrows that had already passed, going back to the time of Abraham and Sarah. I saw that Jewish history's continuity was made up of 3 pieces of DNA: preservation, adaptation, and mutation, always in a very uncomfortable dynamic imbalance. And the dynamic imbalance was a function of the historical context in which our people found themselves. And in the late 60s, globalization was taking hold, and the creative destruction of globalization eroded and corroded all hitherto unbendable and unbreakable boundaries. I had no choice. So in the late 60s, as Laurie said, I began officiating and co-officiating at interfaith, interracial, and gay and lesbian commitment ceremonies. I visited churches, they're God's houses too. And so I began this command that was given to me by everything I knew about Judaism to want to have Jewish tomorrows. Shortly after I came to Philadelphia, I was invited to speak at a sisterhood conference in an adjacent state in a congregation, greeted warmly by the rabbi and the rabbi emeritus. And I began to describe what I thought was going to be the geometric increase in interfaith marriages and the need of the Jewish community to open doors and the need for rabbis to look inside their souls to find a way to say yes and not no. The rabbi emeritus stood up, pointed at me, and screamed, "Henchman of Hitler, you are putting the last nail in the coffin of our people." And he stormed out of the social hall. A couple of years later, as the rabbis in the greater Philadelphia came to know my practices around interfaith marriages, not my beliefs and how I got to getting to where I was, in, I can't say cooperation, but in collusion, sadly, with some of my Reform colleagues, I was blackballed by the Philadelphia Board of Rabbis and my congregation, Temple Shalom in Broomall, as well. I didn't mind about myself, but my congregation was blackballed and could not take its place, its rightful place, with the congregations here in Philadelphia. I'm happy to say that that has passed. Yes, as Laurie said, my life was threatened. My wife's life was threatened. My children's lives were threatened. I was bribed to stop. I was tried to be shamed to stop. And you can understand why the Shehecheyanu has particular significance for me. I chose to leave teaching at HUC-JIR, where I had been teaching Jewish law, because I had a vision of what I thought a congregation should be like. Nothing earth-shattering, a mishpacha, a family, loving, caring, nurturing, affirming, kaleidoscopically diverse. And the role of the rabbi, a repository of Jewish information, a facilitator, and someone whose mission was to nurture the individual souls of everyone in his or her congregation in a way that would make them see the beauty and the excitement of Judaism. So family's an important thing for me, very important. My college brothers and sisters are here. They came from all over the country. For over 60 years, we have been together. And I've had a chance to talk with you over the past months about what you mean to me and what you have given me without you even knowing that you were doing it. You bless me by your presence. I love you, in spite of the fact that you didn't say what I wanted you to say on the page. My Temple Shalom family of 28 years, wonderfully led by the dynamic duo who I'm sitting with now, Rabbi Peter Rigler, my rabbi, and Cantor Jamie Marks, my cantor. You guys, you are my successors and cantor patties. Thank you. No rabbi could have been blessed with a more fabulous congregation than I have with Temple Shalom for 28 years. When Ann and I came with our kids ranging from 2 to 9, we were immediately embraced by the congregational family, and we built a spiritual home. And we welcomed everybody who wanted a spiritual home to come and be with us. To my family, Interfaith family in Boston, Ed Case, my younger brother from another mother, Jody Bromberg, my little sister from another mother. From the moment I knew the two of you, I knew where we belonged. The visionary that you are, Ed, stands out in Jewish history forever. The gifts, Jody, that you bring to our organization and its growth, wonderful, and I can't thank you enough. And to all the people that worked their butts off for tonight, my thanks to them. To Robin, Rabbi Robin Frisch, to Wendy Arman, to Rob Warsaw, you know my soul. You have come to me, I have shared with you, and you have grown and given us here in Philadelphia wonderful things. In conclusion, my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandsons, who are really cute. They are really, really cute. I stand before you as an unfinished man and an imperfect father, always striving to be better and always striving to find the truth, no matter how painful it is. You've been with me in my journey, with your support, with your love, with your critical questioning and challenges. You are my most important teachers, and I love you beyond words. Sigmund Freud said that the child is parent to the adult. So I have to acknowledge here little Mayer, whose courage, whose compassion, whose understanding, and sheer grit enables me to stand here before you today. And finally, to my wife. I'm probably not going to get this out. When I keep thinking about you, song lyrics come to my mind. I don't know what love is. I need you to show me. And for close to 56 years, each and every day, you have taught me the truth of the love of a woman, from a woman, by a woman, that I never had before in my life. You are my wife. You are my life. Now, I'd like you, yes, please, she deserves it. Shehechianu is a big thing for me, but it's a big thing for all of us. And it's a big thing for all of us going forward. So I invite you to join with me in the Shehechianu for the future of our mission together. And I hope to God that what I went through bringing us here, you never have to go through. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, sovereign of the universe, who's giving us a little more time, who's sustaining us a little while longer, so we can have the fun of building Jewish tomorrows. Thank you.
I'm Ed Case, who I've been mentioned a few times. It's an honor for me to say a few words about Leonard Wasserman. It's hard for me to believe it's been 5 years since he's been gone. I started thinking about what I might say right after Yom Kippur, and there's a new Reform prayer book, and there was a meditation in it that really caught my eye this year. It was a conservative rabbi, actually, which is a good thing in the Reform prayer book. And he wrote a meditation, and he said he could not tell where his life began. He knew some of his ancestors, but his line stretched back into time beyond his reckoning. And looking forward, the line into the future was just as unbroken, moving through him into generations yet unborn. And he said, I am a point in the line. The course of existence travels through me. I have inherited from all in the past, and I will bequeath to all the future. In the movement of that line lies the secret of immortality, and I am part of it. And I thought that this fit Leonard very well, and that he bequeathed, I don't even know how much he bequeathed to his family, I can only imagine, but I know that he bequeathed a tremendous amount to all of the many interfaith couples and families who have been touched by the work that he got started with Interfaith Ways. And I was struck by another thing about this idea of the concept of the line, because I was so glad that my line and Leonard's line intersected. Because as Mayor said in the video, things change. And it's so serendipitous that I actually met Leonard in 2002 at a GA that was in Philadelphia. And over the years, we met many times. He often would say, come and have dinner with me in New York. I'll take the train. I went to Boca once to visit with Len and Dottie. He wanted to meet with Barry Schrage, the head of the Boston Federation once, and he and Mayor came up, and I arranged that for him. And because I got to know him, and we talked about working together, that when there was a problem for Interfaith Ways when he died, we were in a position to help and turn that problem into an opportunity and create Interfaith Family Philadelphia. So what people said in the video matched my experience with Leonard. Perseverance. He always wanted to know what was new in the field and what the best practices were and what he could try here with Interfaith Ways. Entrepreneur. He saw an opportunity. He investigated it, as Bobby said. He wanted to do something about it. He was insatiably curious. And he never gave up. And he would have so loved to have been at the summit today. I mean, it would have been his element to hear all the things that were going on and see. And he would have been so excited at all the advances, really, and all the interest that has developed in the recent past. And it was always amazing to me, as many people have said, that when Len and Dottie got Interfaith Ways started, they didn't have any intermarriage in their family. You know, most of the people who have supported Interfaith Family over the years have had some intermarriage in their family. Their grandchildren were intermarried, their children were intermarried, some of them were intermarried themselves. I always said that people who didn't have intermarriage in their family and were supporting us were really enlightened because they saw how important the issue was and weren't motivated for personal reasons, and that fit Leonard to a T. He was very rare, and hopefully there'll be more people like him as time goes on. Another lesson from Yom Kippur is that time is short, and you wish you could spend more time with people that you really care about. And I feel that way about some of Leonard's colleagues, like Bill and like Mayor. Mayor, where are you? There you are. And I also feel that way about Dottie. You know, Dottie would say to me, I was just in the background. I really, it was all Len was doing this, but I have a feeling that Dottie was much more of a true partner in Leonard's work. And I know for certain that her support is ensuring that his legacy will continue. So Dottie, I hope you don't mind surprises too much. because you don't know this, but the Interfaith Family team decided that in addition to Bill and Mayor, that you should be honored with the Leonard Wasserman Award tonight. So I'd like to ask you to come up.
I wasn't at the last seminar because I fell and hurt my knee, and I'm still struggling. Oh, you're too much. Now what do I do?
You're supposed to make remarks.
Well, I knew we'd be having a lot of speeches and things, and I don't want to hold you all up. I know you all have to go to work tomorrow. But in any case, I want to thank everyone, every single one, for your presence here tonight and your support for this mission, especially our honorees, Bill and Mayor, who have been an inspiration since the inception about 14 years ago, and their leadership has really been instrumental in our growth. And thank you, Ed, for those kind words about Len and Interfaith Family, and about me. I didn't know I was getting into this. I know how much he admired you, especially your web skills. That was not his forte. He respected your ability to make things happen in what was essentially a new approach to the interfaith issue. You and Len were pioneers. Having this wonderful turnout of friends, family, associates, and kindred spirits here tonight shows how far Len's influence reached and the impact of his thinking, his planning, organizational skills, and especially his people skills. Planning, organizational skills, oh wait, I read that. In his quest to develop an organization, he spoke to rabbis of every denomination. He didn't care if they didn't really want to talk to him. And community leaders, social workers in Philadelphia, as well as many other cities. He spoke, he drove, and he flew all over to meet with all of these people. He met with parents of intermarried couples, the couples themselves, and anyone else he thought could offer insight into this issue. He didn't call it a problem. It wasn't a problem to him. It was an opportunity. He said that many times. Len reached out to anyone who would listen. It was always on his mind. If he went out to dinner, it was always good for a serious discussion. He clipped articles that he mailed to friends and family to alert them to current happenings in the interfaith world. Len recognized that there were big changes taking place in many communities around us. And I do believe things are changing. But it doesn't happen by itself. And I would like to personally thank Robin, our Philadelphia staff, Robin Frisch, Wendy Arman, and Robin Warsaw, and the people in Boston led by Jody Bromberg and Heather Martin. And I would especially like to thank Mindy Fortin. Where are you? I would especially like to thank Mindy and Laurie France for chairing this evening's event and all of their hard work. It really is amazing to look out and see. I mean, you wouldn't have gotten, 14 years ago, you wouldn't have gotten 10 people to this little dinner. And it's just incredible how this outreach has gone, what do we call it? Global? Viral? Our outreach is making a difference. Our world is changing, and we are stepping up to meet it and its challenges. Be proud of your part in helping us to make a better world for our children and future generations. I know Leonard would be so very proud of how far we have come. Thank you all.
Good evening. I'm Linda Schwartz. I'm the National Board Chair for Interfaith Family. And as we're coming to the end of the evening, I wanted to extend my heartfelt thanks to so many people, especially to Dottie, for your hard work, your partnership with Len, and for allowing us to thank Len and to honor him, to name this award in his name. His memory continues to bless us all. And I'd also like to thank Bill and Mayor. I'm so honored to work with Bill on the board of Interfaith Family. And I thank you both for being torchbearers, for really lighting the way for us all to follow and to really help us crack this issue and to make a difference in the world. Mindy and Lori, what a terrific evening. This has been terrific, and I wanted to thank you for co-chairing the event. How about that? And Dottie, you said you would only have gotten a dozen here some years ago, but I tell you, they're all here for you. Our work at Interfaith Family continues. If you're like me, you're a little bit giddy about today. To have had the opportunity to listen, to share, to learn, to be together in this work is just tremendous. We continue to need your support to do this work, and we want to make sure that each and every interfaith family feels that they can find a home in the Jewish community. On your table, you will see donation cards and pens. If you were inspired by the people we've heard from tonight or from today, I hope you'll join me in supporting the organization. In the back of the room, when Bill spoke, we got a little choked up. And then Meyer spoke, and more than a couple of people were a little teary. If this moves your heart like it moves mine, please consider supporting us. Choose love the way we love to do. Our staff will be spread around the room to collect the cards, so if you're willing to do that, we would be delighted, and thank you. On behalf of our board and all of our incredibly hardworking staff, I want to thank you again for choosing love, for choosing to engage with us as we continue this work. I hope you had fun tonight. I hope you enjoyed honoring these people with whom we are so proud to work. And I will tell you, I saw dessert in the back, so if you don't hang around and continue to socialize a little bit, I will be disappointed. Thank you so much, and enjoy some more time with us this evening.